1969, and today we're talking about my 1967 Shelby Cobra replica. But first, I thought we'd take it out, drive it, and have a little fun. Alright guys, so we're back at the shop and I'm going to go over a few of the specifics on the car and tell you guys the story behind this car. Now this, as I said, is a 1967 Shelby Cobra replica. It was made by a company called Classic Roadsters, and this one was made actually back in the early 90s. I was able to get a little bit of history on the car, and apparently it was given to a business owner for like doing so much business or what have you back in the early 90s, and it stayed with that owner until he actually ended up passing away. It ended up being sold to another gentleman that lived in Turlock, right here locally where I live, and it was in his possession until he passed away, and then his wife opted to go ahead and get rid of it because she knew she wasn't going to drive it and have the same passion for the car that he did. So that's where I came in and I ended up buying it. The company that built the car, really, they did a really nice job, but they ended up going out of business, I think, back in like the mid to later 90s. Financial troubles, things like that. A lot of these car companies just don't make it out there. Now this car is the most replicated car out there. The Shelby Cobra is the most replicated car. And if you guys don't know about the Shelby Cobra and you don't know about Carroll Shelby, I did talk a little bit about it when I did my GT500, but I'll go into a little bit more detail. Actually, what I'll do is I'll recap for you guys. Carroll Shelby was a racer back in the 60s. Health problems prevented him from racing, but he still had the passion for it. So basically his idea was to take a very lightweight car, put a very big motor in it, and go out and beat Ferraris and Porsches and stuff like that, and that's what he did. He partnered with Ford, he got a very lightweight body, put I think it was a 289 at the time, and he went out and just dominated. The car just dominated around the track. Now this is a 427 replica, so this is more for straight line speed. It's not really a great handling car. There's a lot of weight in the front end. They were not known for their handling. The 289 cars were the good handling cars, but this is the one that was a little faster in the straight line, had a little bit bigger meats in the back. I like the looks of this one better. I like the 427 replicas, but to each his own. I mean, a Cobra is a Cobra is a Cobra. They're badass looking cars, they're cool. If you can afford one, if you can get one, you know, you can get a kit car for somewhere in the mid 30s on up, depending on the build quality, and they're great cars. I highly recommend them. This is a car I have a lot of fun with. This car, it's a 4-speed manual transmission, just like the old ones were. Everything's pretty basic. There's no power steering, there's no power brakes, certainly no air, no cruise, no nothing like that. It is a very basic car. The motor itself, which I'll pop the hood and show you guys, is a 390 with a 427 dress-up kit. So, like I said, it's just a Ford 390 with a 427 dress-up kit. As you can see, there are no frills on this car, nothing whatsoever. Now, the motor is not built up. It's not a high horsepower car. I would estimate this car somewhere around maybe 300 or so horsepower, but you don't need a lot of horsepower on a car that's only 2,500 pounds. It's more than moves just fine. I really didn't buy it for speed necessarily. I bought it more for the looks, because that, I'm sorry, is just a beautiful car. It's a beautiful design, the side pipes and what have you. It's not a comfortable riding car. It is rough riding. It's very difficult to get in and out of, and I know that there will come a day when I will not be able to get in and out of this car, but until then I'm going to enjoy it. You got to be really careful getting out of the car, because the side pipes will send your legs, and you know, nothing practical about it, but it's just a cool car. It's a lot of fun. So, let's see, what else can I tell you about it? You know, the car's British green with the white stripes, even got the white stripe inside the hood, which I thought was kind of cool. I really love the color combination. I fell in love with the car the first time I saw it, which was several years before I actually ended up buying it. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys the story on that. What happened is I knew that I wanted to get a Shelby Cobra replica at some point. I knew I couldn't afford a real one. You're going to spend like 10 times the money that you will on a replica. So I knew I wanted one. I was looking around for one, and really my desire to have one was only amplified by my neighbor, who happened to have a replica also. And he doesn't drive very much, so he told me, hey, take it out for a day, enjoy it, play with it, have a good time. And I fell in love with the car. It was a lot of fun, and I knew that I wanted one of my own. Even though he told me I could take his out anytime I wanted to and enjoy it, I knew I wanted to have one of my own. So I started looking around, looking on Craigslist, online, and I told some friends that I was interested in buying one of these cars. And he said, hey, I know a lady, husband passed away, he used to own one, she's wanting to sell it. And he described to me basically where her house was. She lived in Turlock. And he told me the neighborhood and basically where he thought the house was, but it had been a while since he had talked to her. So I said, okay, great. So I go over to the house I think it is, knock on the door, and a gentleman answers the door, and I just tell him what I'm doing there, introduce myself and everything like that. And he says, no, I don't have a Shelby Cobra, I don't know anybody that does, but I've got some cool cars if you want to come take a look. Sure, absolutely. So went into his garage. He had like 3 or 4 very cool cars. Very nice guy, showed me around, showed me his cars. Nothing was really for sale, and there was nothing I was interested in at the time. But then he says, well, no Shelby Cobra here, but down the street a little ways, a guy's got a Mustang Fastback for sale. So I ended up going down there and talking to that guy, and I ended up buying the Mustang Fastback instead, and that's a completely different story and video and everything like that. But long story short, sometime later, I ended up driving over in the same neighborhood, a block over. I'm driving by this house. I see the car sitting in the garage. Garage is open. Lady's out there. So I stop. I talk to her. Very, very nice lady. We chatted for a little while. And at the time, this car had to be smogged. Here in California, we have to smog vehicles every other year for registration. And this did not have the AB 100 basically pass, if you will, that you can get through the state of California, where you don't have to smog it. And so at the time, it had to be smogged. And so that kind of threw me off a little bit, but I still wanted the car. We were a couple thousand away on the price, and I just couldn't justify spending the money at the time. So I went on to other things, and actually didn't end up talking to her for a couple years. But I kept the little flyer with her name and number on it. So a couple years later, a little different position, a little bit more able to maybe buy the car. So I call her and ask her if she still got the car. And of course, I introduce her myself and tell her who I am. She remembers me, and she says, yeah, as a matter of fact, I do have the car. I've got the AB 100 done on it, and I was just getting ready to get it all cleaned up, going to put it on eBay and just sell it. I'm ready to get rid of it. So I said, well, hold on, let me come over. So I go over, she takes me for a ride in it, come back, yeah, I want the car, I definitely want the car. So she shoots me a number, I shoot her another number, we kind of go back and forth a little bit, and we end up settling on a price I think was fair for both of us. And I get the car, take it home, and I've owned it now for probably pretty close to 2 years, and I love it. I just, like I said, I think the color is beautiful. The car is just really, it's really, I know I say this a lot, but it's really cool. I mean, look at the back end of that thing. You know, it sounds good, even though it's not a pumped up motor, even though it's not a heavily modified motor. It sounds good. It sounds good going down the road. I'm never been a really big convertible fan, but I always said if I could have a convertible, this would be the one I would want. I think this thing actually looks better in its form right now with no top. There are some of them that do have the cloth top that you can put on. There are even some that have like more of a hard top, but in my opinion, no, this is the way this car should be, and this is the way it was meant to be. This is the way I like it. So yeah, I still enjoy coming out, looking at it, dusting it off, driving it, everything like that. So with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. There's probably more I could say about it, more I could do, but we can do all that stuff on another video. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you're stopping in for the first time, browse my other videos, check them out, and subscribe. Please subscribe. I would appreciate it. And if you're going to subscribe, bring along a friend too, because it's always more fun to do something with a friend when you subscribe with a friend. So bring along a friend, maybe 2 or 3. So with that, God bless, take care, have an amazing day.
If you want it here, I'll take it.